good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Thank you for joining us for the July 21st SIG CLI Bug Scrub. My name is Eddie Zaneski and I will be your host today. We don't really have any announcements other than the Contributor Summit for KubeCon is hopefully going to happen. And hopefully we'll see folks there if they're going. So does anyone have anything they want to jump on first or look at?
Is there anything that we need to look at in terms of the release?
No, actually, we have nothing on the blocking list as far as I know. I looked at the email yesterday. So good job, everybody. We aren't holding up the release.
So just a quick note on that. I have yesterday at midnight was the docs deadline, and I have a PR out for adding this kubectl command headers environment variable. It's a really small one. I'll throw it in the chat if anybody wants to have a look. It's just a really small one. So I added an environment variable section to the part that has the kube control flags. And I only put in 2 environment variables. The most important, of course, the kubeconfig environment variable. But that now I'm adding this kube control command headers environment variable. I mentioned that it's version 122 or later. Let me actually throw this in the chat. If you guys have any feedback on the wording, or if other details, please let me know. So one of the docs contributors was asking about putting how we insert these headers for plugin development, so they could put it in the headers as well. That's quite detailed, and I didn't really want to do that for this initial PR. Let me see. Here is the PR. And yeah, I don't want to hijack the meeting. Sorry, I just wanted to point that out.
No, that's fine. Is this waiting on us for approval or docs?
No, it's SIG docs. I dropped it in the SIG docs Slack. I pinged the 122 release docs lead, Victor Pilate, I think it is.
Cool. Awesome. I don't think we have anything else in the release that needs like a call it or docs, right? I think just yours, because I know the sub resources cap didn't make it.
So Nikita had a really large cap, but that wasn't supposed to be in for 122, right?
I thought they were targeting it, but I don't think it made it.
Okay, that was a significant effort.
Yeah, they did a good job. We'll get in the next one.
The completions went in, right? That's a big deal.
Yeah, completions went in. So we still need to upgrade Cobra again, but that is blocked on there's another issue that Paco was working on. It's this one. So this changed a bunch of dependencies that are the same as Cobra, but Paco did all the work of fixing all the tests and stuff that broke and changed. Apparently there was one of the Google API libraries changed their resource path or something, which probably should have been a breaking change, but it wasn't. And it messed up a bunch of our tests or something that we're relying on that path to mock it. So as soon as this is merged, we can upgrade Cobra.
So maybe this isn't the correct forum, but I when I most recently have been running make test, the unit tests for Kubernetes in general, there's only one unit test that I see fails, and it's in our code base. It's the test for the version, the kubectl version. Has anybody else seen that, or is that, do I have a, sometimes I have a wrong setup with the wrong Go version or something?
I actually have a fix for that that I need to
okay.
push up. It was annoying me too, actually. So I'm just mocking out the HTTP call to the version server, because I think the test was currently, it was actually hitting a server. It's like making a request, which we shouldn't be doing from unit tests.
Not a unit test, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just mocking it now.
I might have been the last one to touch that code, so sorry if that was me. I agree, though, it should not be reaching out.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It was an easy fix. All right, cool. I'll share my screen and we will walk through. I have, ignore my million tabs open, don't judge me. So let me grab these tabs. Okay. So I have to, I told people earlier, I'm talking to Arno this week to migrate Triage Party to Kube Infra. And so I think something broke, because we actually do have a few recent issues that should be showing up here. So I don't know why they're not. So I'll have to look at that. But let's just walk backwards. So this is brand new. I should be on my desktop and not my laptop. This is so tiny. Kube control fails to parse parameters correctly when using full width space. Mike, why are they using a full width space? Is my question. I imagine this is something in Cobra. That's a strange one. Anyone interested in looking at this one?
So is the issue that they're using like a Unicode space instead of a regular space? Is that what that's saying? I'm trying to understand what, so it's like interpreting the weird space after the dash in as the namespace, not as a space. Is that what it's saying? What this issue is saying?
That, yeah. So the way Go parses runes is it treats Unicode characters as a rune. So I guess it's reading this. I'm not sure. Ideographic space is that character.
mean, it might be a Cobra thing even, but I don't know.
Yeah, the original author even suggests that, and I agree, that seems likely.
And this is a Cobra thing. Is there, can you provide context on why you are using this character? Okay. All right. Next one, also a recent one. Use compression. Oh my God. Okay. This is a massive duplicate.
So we considered getting rid of the copy command, and it sounded like we dropped that effort. Is that, if I remember correctly, is that correct, Eddie?
Yeah. There was a whole bunch of back and forth around it because there was a bunch of CVEs. So it's definitely a piece of code that I'm always afraid to touch. We did say that this should be done inside of the CRI. I'm trying to think of the issue. Commenter, then the elder. Oh, it's in the main Kubernetes repo. I definitely. Here we go. Okay. So this is where we're tracking it. There's a bunch of stuff in here. The last thing we talked about was, here we go. Ben said that the best option would have the CRI support this. We could have a trusted tar implementation. We just need someone to own it and push it forward as a cap. So. I will mark this as a duplicate. I lost like half my screen. Triage duplicate, okay. Check out for context. Is a bunch of history behind this. Current plan is to just need someone to own, creating a cap to move this to the CRI. Okay. All right. Cannot communicate with a pod from outside a Minikube cluster. Okay. I have closed a few issues from this person. They're all support related. Since pod name mentioned. I'll reply to this guy later. These are support questions. I pointed them at a bunch of resources in other issues. Okay, this one is taken care of. We have a PR that we just need merged. So I'll skip that one. Kube control apply -K erroneously recommends unsupported load restrictor flag. Apparently Google heard me say something. This sounds like it's getting a flag from something.
Does this have to do with since we've upgraded the version of customize?
Yeah, presumably customize and the customize and slide kubectl are subtly different. I expect this is not on purpose, but I'm still trying to understand.
Isn't there a generic deprecation check that looks for underscores and flag names and spits out that message? So it's saying load underscore restrictor is deprecated.
I've seen, so I thought I had seen something that within the kube control code that automatically changes underscores to dashes.
Where did they find this flag? Like, where is this even listed? It's not in the help.
It is a flag on the real, like, or the independent
Customize.
Yeah.
Got it.
But yeah, the command in kubectl is built up independently. It's not like execing the other binary or anything. It's separate. So you could try this with any number of things, and the flags set are not the same. But it is weird that they get a deprecation warning for a flag that doesn't exist about another flag that doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's got to be what Sean or Brian just said, right?
It's funny if you just put in like kubectl apply something, -f some file -- foo underscore bar, you get a whole bunch of messages saying foo underscore bar is deprecated and will be removed in the future. So it doesn't ever check that that's a real flag. It just says it's deprecated because you used underscore.
Oh, that seems unideal. I wonder if this has been reported before then.
Yeah. Oh, here it is, flags.go, line 39. Do we want to change something there?
I mean, does that deprecation message even still make sense anymore? Are there any flags that legitimately have underscores that we need to do this to?
Probably not. I'm sure there's a to-do about remove this one something. I don't know which file it actually is though. Oh, here it is. Okay. Warn word sep normalize func. Okay, there's no to do. Yeah, it just checks if there is a underscore in the flag name and then prints that out.
And we could just remove the part that says, well, I don't know. It's weird when it's not a real flag because it tells you to use a flag that doesn't exist. I get what they're saying in the issue, but I don't know what the right thing is there.
And I think we have code which automatically changes it. If you look 4 lines down, it says normalize, not just warn, but like normalize.
Yeah.
But how old is this? Because if this is like 2 or 3 years old and we've been warning in 2 or 3 years, maybe we should, probably everybody got a lot of time to fix any CI or something using underscores yet, right? Instead of
This has
relying
been
on.
there for years.
Let me, what file is this? This is component-based CLI flags.
It's in the top level command code in kube control.
Okay.
cmd.go in kube control.
Okay. So we probably, I just want to see the history on this. So 6 years ago, that is when this was added.
I vote to open an issue as a good first issue and say, hey, remove that and let's see what breaks.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess one way would be just remove the warning. And I mean, I don't know. It's kind of weird, I guess, if it auto converts the underscores to dashes, but it's doing that now. If people have something that's, for whatever reason, still using underscores, it would still work, but no warning.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just do a cleanup in all of these, right? The conversion function and the warning function. Maybe as this is like something that receives the flag and returns another flag, normalize it. Maybe just replacing in the code all of those, because it seems to me that this function is just used to normalize the separator, right? Even the name of it's about separator. So maybe we just could clean up everything using this.
Yeah, that's a tricky one, right? Because our contract is to always maintain as much backwards compatibility. And if people are relying on this behavior and we just like randomly rip it out.
I don't think we could pull out the replacement. Whether or not you could pull out the deprecation warning would be a separate question, but there's probably way too many people relying on their flags being automatically changed to the correct format.
Maybe a flag to enable or disable this behavior. Some environment variable.
No more flags.
A flag to deprecate flags.
Yes.
Yeah, but I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird how we use this now. It's called, I just posted a link in the chat, but it's actually called twice in a row, one time with the warning and the other time without. So I wonder if we just get rid of the line with the warning and let the regular normalize happen, if that would be sufficient.
Yeah, probably. Everyone's afraid of breaking stuff, right? So yeah, so we can't get rid of that functionality if people are using it. I could see how the warning is confusing.
Or we just change the wording on the warning. It just says, we don't imply that it's a real flag. We just say, hey, you gave us a flag with an underscore. It's going to be we could just say underscore separator automatically converted to dash or whatever. That might be maybe a good middle ground there.
Yeah, the idea of a deprecation going on for 6 years, I think we've actually passed the time frame for it. And I think that wording sounds a lot better, Brian.
All right, Brian, I'm going to assign you to this one.
All right.
I think that's a good idea. I like your wording. All right. So kube control should not describe all APIs when executing unrelated calls. Okay, so I looked at this one. I'll drop it in chat. We can probably close this. So they had a bunch of questions about how we do discovery and caching. And one of their big questions was, why does kube control need to make discovery calls for well-known object types? And my answer was, there's really no such thing as a well-known object type to the client.
Yeah, the CRDs, people extend the API. And so, and we don't know when the extension happens. You could send in a CRD with a kube control call. And so we have to continually update that discovery.
Yeah, and there's even like pods and nodes in core v1, like the client doesn't know about that for a reason, because there's so many different versions. All right, I'm just going to close this. They haven't responded. kubectl exec TTY standard in leaking process inside pod when terminated. Brian replied.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I mean, I was able to reproduce what they said happened, but it doesn't appear to be unique to Kubernetes. I was able to see the same problem, or the same behavior, I should say, just using Docker run and Docker exec.
We can, well, what did you say? You just replicated it, right?
Yep. I didn't really know what to say beyond that.
So I don't actually, I've never looked at the exec code. Does this just call the container D or Docker code? Because I wonder if we can put a listener. I think he even said something about a trap. And we could like listen, and I don't know if it's a fork or not. I understand how that's a problem. It's also probably could change the behavior instead of doing it, but we still shouldn't be leaking PIDs all over the place. Docker term. Okay, so it is using Docker's code, it looks like. Speedy executor. Speedy for transports. This is actually the same stuff that Port Forward uses, is all these Speedy clients. This is what I was going to walk through. I'll take a look at this as I'm looking through the Port Forward code for the Speedy stuff, and we'll see what we can do. Because I wonder if we could keep track. I don't know if it's a fork or not, right? Because if it's a fork, we get a PID, and then we could keep track of PIDs and then have a, you know, an interrupt listener or something that cleans up after itself. I don't know. All right. I'll take a look and see what we can do. It sounds like a fun one to work on if anyone actually wants to take that. Resources and namespaces with a label, match pattern should be listed. Can't read the last word, just listed. Okay. This sounds like list resources in namespaces with the given namespace label.
So it's kind of a regex for namespaces. It's like, I want the pods and not just in -n this namespace, but in all of the namespaces for this namespace selector regex, it sounds like.
So they put a label on their namespace, not on the pods.
Or is it a regex on the namespace name itself?
Maybe.
I understood the same thing as Brian, that you put a label in your namespace or in a bunch of namespace, and you select like all pods from all namespaces that contains like environment equals to production.
Yeah, labels on namespaces, I guess, are not quite as useful because you can't when you can't use them to select pods, but by the namespace.
You can on network policies. but as far as I remember, only network policies uses namespace labels as a selector for something.
Can you do this with a Go template? If you use a -A for all namespaces, can you give it a template and select on the namespace labels?
I don't think so, because that's not going to be returning namespace objects, right? Like we're talking about returning it. That would return a list of all the pods across all namespaces, and we still don't have the connection to the metadata on the namespace itself at that point.
Yeah. You can do a shell script and get our namespace with a label and do a get pods over those namespaces as well. But I got the point.
It seems like it would be relatively easy to script, and it would be rather heavy as a command to get all the namespaces, go over them, check their labels, then make a request per namespace to get each thing. So this wouldn't be a very performant feature in a large cluster.
So one other wrinkle I've always seen with namespaces is that you could actually set a namespace in your kubeconfig file for your context. And that always trips me up whenever I try to play around with namespace, choosing which namespace for particular resources, how that would interact, at what level.
I guess in this case, the new flag would only work in combination with the all namespaces flag, which is not great. It wouldn't make sense, like you said, if a single namespace was used either via flag or via the config file.
I get it's a valid request. It is heavy. I agree with you, Katrina. Should we ask to see it in a plugin if someone wants to do it?
Would the plugin be like an alternate Git then?
Well, we've been telling people that want features added that we'd like to see a plugin of it and then decide if we want to upstream it after the plugin's validated.
So it would be a wrapper. The plugin, the plugin's Git would be a wrapper around kubectls Git with this flag.
Yeah. I don't want to close it because it is a valid request.
Sort of. I mean, sort of, but why not just label the pods? I mean, labels aren't costly. Why not just label all your pods type apps instead of relying on the namespace to give you the metadata about the pods? Like the namespace probably isn't the best place to describe the pods.
You're right.
I'm not against this or anything. I guess my first reaction was, well, you could do this another way. So
I bet there's a controller out there that will do this, that will apply a namespace label to all of the pods. That seems like something someone would build a controller for.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. Or maybe someone just put that on a definition as well.
Okay, so someone you want to type that reply, Ricardo or Brian?
Yeah, I can take a look into that on the weekend. Sure.
We can say something like this might make more sense as a controller, because Brian, you're right, it is an anti-pattern. Like you shouldn't be relying on the namespace label. So we shouldn't do that to the client.
I mean, our decision is not to implement, but maybe to give some paths, like using creating a plugin or relying on a controller to label everything below the namespace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can do that.
I bet there's a controller out there. Like someone has got to have built this. Okay. Create PV and PVC in imperative way. We're trying to, I know, I'm pretty sure Mache wants to get rid of all of the create and generators, right? Like that is his secret goal.
Is this asking for a generator? Like they don't want to have to type out some sort of stock version of a PV? Because I agree, we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's my take, is they want a create generator for this. Imperative is what we want everyone to get away from in regards to Kubernetes. So I'm going to close it. Okay. Yeah, we don't like the generators we have. I know we want to get rid of them in general, so we shouldn't add more. And I know Mache would object, so. Enhance copy to allow PVC as destination.
Yeah, this one is pretty tricky, right? Because you need to mount that PVC somewhere to copy. It's not only like because CP actually you can send to a pod, but when you say to a PVC, you need to mount like maybe it's something similar to the debug thing. You mount the PVC somewhere and copy. So this is I don't think this is easy to do. I don't know if someone got any idea about that. I might be thinking small here, but
Maybe a plugin for this.
But even a plugin, you need to mount that PVC somewhere. So if the PVC is just running inside the cluster, so you won't have the local mount, right? So you need to bootstrap a pod in your cluster, mount that PVC, and if that PVC is like read write ons, and that's already mounted somewhere else, what happens? I have no idea, actually. Probably there is an easier way to do, but
Yeah, I wouldn't know which particular file paths had been mounted because of that claim. I mean, I don't know where that connection is between the persistent volume claim and then, trying to determine whether or not that location was created because of that claim.
This should be implemented as a plugin. A PV needs to be mounted to write files to it, which will introduce all sorts of logistic issues. Okay.
One thing that maybe that's an idea that I am like figuring right now it's that we've seen a lot of things that should be a plugin. So maybe we should have somewhere saying, hey, people ask this as a plugin. So if someone wants to work on something funny, because we are like, I am putting myself on the other perspective. Like I am the user, I am proposing something cool. And someone say, hey, just write a plugin, but we don't say to people like willing to code or to contribute that they can write a plugin to help someone. So my feeling here, don't know if.
We have an FAQ, though it never really got written to.
Yeah, but I mean like a label or something that says, hey, this should be a plugin if someone an outside world wants to implement this, if someone wants to like do you want to help someone, write a plugin, have some fun. How many things could be a plugin, and we are just right here just closing and say this could be a plugin to maybe people that don't know how to code, and we have like students and people willing to help but they don't know how. That's just like, I don't know if you get it. Like, I'm missing some plugin catalog that needs to be developed, like a weekend project as an example.
Mm-hmm.
A label
Yeah.
sounds reasonable to me for that. Make it easy to search.
Yeah, I don't, how do we add a label? Can I just
We
add
can-
one?
We can do a /label something. Okay, so in the repo you need to write on the org, I guess, to ask. But we could add like the help wanted, even closing and saying, hey, this is something that we need help for someone willing, and like announce that maybe SIG CLI is doing wanted plugin catalog using like help wanted, or I don't know. I'm just thinking that maybe we are losing some good opportunities here. Just so if you have write permission, you can also add.
What should this label be?
Yeah, maybe kubectl/plugin. I don't know. Really don't know. Sean, you know better than me all of those. What
maybe
are
the
the
wording,
impacts of those ideas?
so maybe the wording, just the wording itself on the label should be something that's maybe more focused, like plugin first or create plugin first. Just so, if it just said plugin, then it might not be as descriptive. But if we had something that was far more focused and descriptive, which, just reading the label
Should be a plugin, needs plugin.
Yeah.
Triage plugin prototype needed.
Yeah, actually, that's really good. And yeah, you've got the.
So we can say triage. I feel like I'm going to break everything by manually creating this. I'll add this to my to-do list to see if this is done through the org repo as a PR, as opposed to manually doing it.
You can. I do that all of the time in Ingress. I hope that no one figures out, but you can add the label yourself.
And will the bot will work when I do /triage plugin needed or whatever?
Yeah, so I don't know if this works. I guess so, because I've added manually the area helm in Ingress in Nginx, and it worked just fine. You just need to be careful if someone tries to add that label in the bot is gonna probably overwrite yours. Like if someone adds that to the automation stuff.
They added one that was identical, that would be fine, right?
Yeah.
Needs plugin prototype. Indicates a feature should be implemented as a plugin first. Thumbs up. Okay. If I get in trouble, y'all, I'm blaming Ricardo.
You can blame on me. I have a lot of those.
All right, what was that one? That was like copy, enhance copy. Triage plugin. There we go.
I would suggest you to try the bot so you can see if it works, but you just already added.
All right, I will try the bot. /triage needs plugin prototype. Hey, it works. Okay. Cool.
Now that we all know how to add labels, there's going to be just a ton of.
Yeah, hopefully they don't, I don't think they'll disappear. I thought all of that was just in a basically a Terraform-esque apply where it just like syncs the state. All right, we can probably stop there. Any last minute topics or discussions? Katrina opened a PR to add a customized bug scrub on our off week. So we'll get that merged in and all set up. Mache needs to create the calendar invite.
Yeah, we agreed to that about a month ago at a SIG CLI meeting, and I never got around to it, but finally did it this morning. Would love to have you all there at those meetings as well if you're interested.
Yeah, for sure. I will be there. I don't know anything about customized, but I will definitely be there to help.
Well, that's the point, right? More people will learn about customized.
Yes. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.